So hi. As I continue to explore and play with Zoom, which is a little bit limited, I it's just, you have to forgive me. I'm doing my best with the technology as it exists. And so I am absolutely excited. Tonight, it was around me wanting to talk a little bit more on just energy and how that works. And so what, hmm. So this is actually one of my favorite topics, and mostly because it's one of my favorite experiences. And that's when I'm serious. But two, that's one of the beauties about understanding energy, because it transforms your world. It becomes an entire experience that you live in. And I'll get to some of that. But the truth really is that every single person, every single one of us, we're all generating energy. And, the truth also is we've got the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between, including the joyful and the blissful, as long as you're paying attention. So I bet you remember, say, feeling attraction to somebody, and they pick it up. They go, she's attracted to me. Or they're attracted to you and you pick that up from them. And what about that feeling of somebody watching you from behind, like maybe your kid or your partner or an old friend's like creeping up on you to surprise you? You're not even looking at them and you feel the energy. Or are you like me? And this is really annoying, honestly, but I can fritz out a television and the reception just by walking around. Sometimes, depending on the day and the weather outside, I have to be like 20, and depending on me, frankly, I have to stay 20 feet away from my television if I want to watch the news. So I also remember way back in the 70s that, I'd meet a guy and I would feel this immediate attraction. And sometimes it was so much that I just let myself go in the moment. This was the 70s. And it wasn't until much, much later in my life, frankly, after studying energy, even more deeply, that I realized that all of that energy was not all of my energy. So I was running around picking up other people's energy and sometimes acting on it. And I honestly had no idea it wasn't my energy. So this can also apply to, attraction, anger, joy, love, where we're actually picking up other people's energy, not realizing it's not ours and it's affecting us. We're actually acting on it. It gets really interesting because some of us, maybe you go in and another example be maybe you're slightly miffed at somebody and you get together with one of your best buddies or friends and you're out drinking and that other person is really pissed at that same person. And all of a sudden, you went from being a little miffed to like, you're right, that was this and that and the other. And what often is happening is you're picking up your friend's energy about this other person. And it wasn't always yours because before you started, you were just a little miffed. You were not mad. And so really seriously, we all generate energy and it's really, really fascinating and it can be frustrating. And so back on May 12th, I think it is, I did one of these wisdom in lines and I did it on shielding. And so go back and check that out. It's pinned to the top of this Facebook page. Since this is one thing that can actually protect you, when you shield, it's like you're still aware of everything going on. It's just that all this other energy isn't getting in and messing with yours. You get to be with yourself really cleanly and clearly. And so that again was on, I believe, May 12th. And it is pinned to the top. You can go check that Zoom out as well. So for today, I want to talk about two ways that we all use and react to energy. There's many, but I'm going to focus on these. And one is when we are actually in action. Okay. And the other is when we're in reaction. And so as us, as energy beings in action, so examples, you get really mad and all of a sudden you're just blasting a ton of angry energy out to whoever and everybody around you. I mean, your dog, your friend, your partner, your lover, your kids, you know, the world. That's one thing we do. Or maybe you get really sad and maybe you constrict and draw all of your energy in, kind of to hide your heart and hide yourself a little bit. It's another thing we do. Another way is, you know, you think an anxious thought, and the body, that generates energy, and the body reacts by tensing, or maybe your stomach gets all messed up. Or you could go into fear, and immediately your body picks up that fearful energy, and it's going to go into fight or flight response. Or, you know, and you getting afraid can also make others afraid around you. Or maybe you get stressed out, and your body, in reaction to the stress, is pumping out all this cortisol. Happened to me, not a good, pleasant thing. Or maybe you get what I not grew up, but I've learned to call disaster mind, you know, where that mind is just making up every friggin' bad thing that could happen. And that, honestly, disaster mind can create all kinds of physical and emotional responses. And so really consider, and I think I'll mention this again later, that like attracts like, you know? And if we're putting out all that disaster mind energy, often what goes, you know, I'll mention this, talk about this later, but what goes around comes around. And then let me take a sip. Remember, this is wisdom and wine. So today I needed it. It was such a day. And so as energy beings being in reaction, and I've, you know, a number of the ones I just illustrated are both actions and reactions as well. But like me, you actually do sense somebody's anger, lust, joy, aversion, mischief. And what can often happen is you then start to mimic the other person. So it's like we will start, again, taking on their energy, but then that's our reaction. We will start to suddenly behave the way they are. And that can be really fun or really a tragedy. So it depends on the situation. Or let's say somebody is in a rage, you know, and they blast you with all this energy, and your body, I mean, I don't know about you, but you know, I'll be surprised. My whole body will start to quiver, you know, and your heart races and all of that. Or maybe you walk into a room and everybody in the room is all tense. Well, you immediately go on high alert. It's like, uh-oh, what is happening here? And you may do the whole fight or flight type of thing. Maybe as an alternative, you think a really reassuring thought to yourself, and then your whole shoulders come down and your stomach relaxes. And so I'm sure that you've noticed yourself a lot of these situations, but in so many of the ones I mentioned, nobody said a word. I mean, nobody has said a word, but you have picked up their energy anyway. And this is really important to understand. We're talking energy. Somebody doesn't have to say anything, and you're still going to understand where they're at. And I know you all do it. So, I mean, I know you all do it. And other situations where it can be really, you know, well, one, it's really important to understand how energy works in your life, but other ways that it's really helpful to kind of like read the energy. Let's say you're walking down a dark street, or you're going to take a shortcut down a dark alley, and suddenly you really get this sense that, you know, there's danger somehow, or that you're being watched. So if you are aware, then you can make different choices. I mean, you can turn around, take another route, call somebody, you know, and get safe. Maybe you've done like I have. I've gone to a whole lot of sacred sites around the planet, and it's really great when you walk into a space that has this incredible, really rich, vibrant energy, and to just stop and appreciate it and open yourself up, you know, to absorb even more of that really, really yummy, yummy energy. I've also gone to sites, say in Mexico, where the energy was so really heavy that it bordered on scary. And so once I sensed that, excuse me, once I sense that, I immediately shield. So again, go check out the shielding video because I talk about how to do that. Yeah, and I would shield immediately. I even once, I was driving in Taos and they've got a gem and crystal shop on a corner, and I'm driving up to the stoplight, excuse me, and I had a prohibition against buying any more crystals. And so I'm not even thinking about that. Suddenly I hear this, it's like this energy pulling me, come to the store. And I went, no. And it was like, come to the store. And I'm like, no, but I take my left turn and I drive like I'm not going to stop. And it yells at me, come into the store. So I pulled into the gas station that's past the gem shop. I go walking into the store, and they must have thought I was nuts, but I walked in and I went, what? You know, because I have so many crystals that I didn't need anymore. And I walked out with probably 5 that were some of the more unique crystals I've ever found. So it's really fascinating when we start to pay attention to energy. I'll also add that, say, manifesting things in our lives is also affected by how we handle our energy. And so I bet you've heard the old saying, you know, what goes around comes around. And so many of those old sayings, they kind of stick around through the ages because they're true. So the energy that you put out often comes back to you. You know, and that kind of, and the way I feel about it, it kind of up levels our responsibility for our lives because, you know, we're really are creating our lives, and we're creating our lives by how we think. We really are. We're creating, at a minimum, just thinking a happy thought will make you feel better. I mean, that's the minimum. But energy does follow our thoughts, and energy does absorb and attract that which resonates with it. So if I'm running around thinking all these heavy, thoughts, I'm more likely to attract situations exactly like that. And, you know, some people will argue, well, that's only because that's what you see. And I will agree with you. That is what you're seeing, but you're also seeing it because you've attracted it. So it's one of those snake eating its tail, you know, which came first, the chicken or the egg. But really, I've run too many experiments not to know that, I mean, this is really true. What goes around comes around. What I put out often comes back to me. There's another really cool fact, and I love this, is that the mind can't differentiate between a real and an imagined event. The mind cannot differentiate between a real and an imagined event. And so when we focus on, say, negative thoughts, those generate energy that our bodies then react to because the mind doesn't know that it's imagined. It really doesn't get it. And it's the same thing for the fun, kind, and hopeful thoughts that we think. And so the Olympic athletes have used this. I'm sure you've heard the stories about, you know, imagining and visualizing yourself, say, taking that ski slope perfectly in the ski run. And so, you know, Olympic athletes all over the world use this trick because, again, the mind doesn't know what's real or imagined. And so the mind will see, you know, you'll envision going down it, and then your body all starts responding. And it really helps to, when you get to the actual course, to navigate it perfectly. And so I was thinking about, I mean, this will be short tonight, but I was thinking about, you know, your question might be, all right, well, how do I expand my awareness of energy? And so it's going to sound uber simple, but what I've seen in all my years is it's all those really uber simple things that are some of the most profound. And thank God, right? Because it doesn't have to be hard. It really doesn't have to be hard. So basically, you just start paying attention to your energy. So in Toltec speak, because I'm a committed Toltec, you kind of stalk yourself. You stalk your body and you stalk your mind to start deepening your awareness. And so stalking the mind just means paying attention to what you're thinking. And then really taking responsibility for what you are thinking. Because remember, the mind can't tell the difference, and your body reacts to your thoughts. I mean, this really does get important, and it really does affect your life in pretty profound ways. I mean, I went through a whole thing. I had genuine stress, but the cortisol my body was pumping out because I blew it up. I mean, I was pissed off for about 3 days. And I mean, really mad. And I gained 25 pounds that month and I did nothing different. So I took myself to, doctors of Oriental medicine, and it turned out to be adrenal fatigue caused by the cortisol that was caused by the stress. So our bodies really do react, and it really can not be fun. And so that's stalking the mind. Stalking the body means really paying attention to what your body is actually saying to you. Because I will promise you this, your body, my body, everybody's body, it has wisdom way, way beyond the mind. And your body often will react to your thoughts before you even are consciously aware that you had the thought that something happened. And so boiling it down, stalking is simply the art of paying close attention to everything around you. So stalking is the art of paying close attention. And, it's really kind of like the cat. We've all seen cats, where they see the mouse and they're like wiggling their hindies and, and they're studying what the mouse is doing and they choose the right moment and they pounce. And then they don't care if they miss it. It's like, oh, I didn't want it anyway. With stalking, we're doing it the same as the scary stalkers even, but the major difference is we are stalking ourselves. In this case, we're not stalking anybody else, just our mind and our bodies. And so let's practice. Okay, so I'm going to start first with the mind, and your job is to simply stalk your mind to look for reactions. Okay, so close your eyes, because it shuts off a whole layer of stimulus when you close your eyes. And remember, this part, you're stalking your mind. And I'm going to say some sentences. So keep your eyes closed. Take a deep breath. Trump is the best president ever. What did you think? Next one. Trump is the worst president ever. What did you think? Beer diets are the best diets. What were your thoughts? Too much beer makes you gain weight. Thoughts? You are so frigging amazing. What were your thoughts? So just noticing you had reactions. And now keeping your mind closed, keeping your eyes closed, this time we're going to only stalk your body. And I'm going to kind of rip on some different emotions, all right? So you're going to only stalk your body, and keep your eyes closed so that you can focus. How did your body react? Okay? I am so freaking mad at you. How could you be so stupid? Okay, how did your body react? Take a breath, blow that out. Okay, the next one. Okay, breathe that out. Just notice how your body reacted to that. Let it go. And then the last one. That's always so much fun. How did your body react to that? And so this is what stalking is. It's paying attention to what your thoughts are, paying attention to how your body reacts. And so a really quick story that illustrates this fairly well. I was driving to a meeting hang on a second, and I had to present. And I'm driving along and, I'm 10, 15 minutes out, I'm going to get there on time. But all of a sudden, my stomach is like, I go, what the hell? My stomach is all like kind of tied up in knots. So as I'm driving, I thought, well, I've got everything. I mean, I ran a mental check. And so I couldn't figure it out. And so as I kind of ran the movie in my mind back a few minutes, and I stalked my thoughts. What had I been thinking? And I got to the thought that I'm going to totally screw this meeting up. I mean, that was one of my thoughts. And I noticed that was when my stomach and my body got all tight. And so I ran another checklist. You've got all your stuff. You've prepared like crazy. This is going to be fine. It's going to work out fine. And my stomach relaxed. My shoulders came down from my ears. And I had a great meeting. I will pretty much promise you, though, that had I not caught that, had I not been paying attention to my body, I would have stayed tense. I would have gone into that meeting and I probably would have messed something up because I was so uptight. And so often, we're going to think a thought, like I said earlier, and our body responds. And we're not even like this. We aren't even aware of thinking the thought. So when you feel your body reacting, it helps to, again, like I did, run the past minute or two through your head like a movie. Run it through your mind and see, can you catch the thought that caused your body to react? And then you get to work with what you find, okay? And so one of the best things, it's so simple and it's so perfect, is to take a deep breath when you're anxious or angry or overwhelmed. And so I'm getting excited. We take that deep breath because, when we're under stress, what happens is your blood vessels constrict, your muscles constrict, and blood stops flowing, especially to the brain, all right? And that's where we need it. Our brains use vast amounts of the blood in our systems. And so the blood basically stops flowing to exactly where we need it, which is our brain. And so simply taking a deep breath, or two or three, what it does is it allows the oxygen to hit the muscles, to allow the muscles to relax, to then give you that little bit of spaciousness to then give yourself a hug. And that's my next best thing. I do this all the time, a hug or reassurance. And so it's simply, you just, it's okay, baby. It's all right. I'm right here for you. I'm going to protect you. I'm right here. It's okay. Oh, I can just feel my shoulders dropping now. Or, oh, honey, I see you're really nervous, but we're going to be fine. This is all going to work out perfectly. The shoulders come down from the ears. Or, it's okay, sweetie. I've got you. You really can relax. It's all going to be fine. And I really do these every single time I need it. And I mean, I've been doing energy work for 50 some years, and I have been blown away, honestly, by how effective these very simple things are. I mean, we all our minds want to complicate it. And, this is so, well, here's a good thing actually to understand. The effects of what our bodies and minds can put us through, they feel so huge that the mind doesn't want to believe that something as simple as taking a deep breath will help it. That's kind of an egoic approach, like, oh, my tragedy or my stress is so bad, breathing can't help. Well, bullshit. Sorry, but give it a try, because I promise you it helps. Now, it may not take you from here to the top of Mount Everest, but it'll take you partway there. It's the first step. And then you take another breath, because as soon as you can gain clarity with your thinking, then the rest of you can come online and support yourself. And also, to think more clearly about what's going on. And the truth really is that most people run away from any and everything they consider uncomfortable. And the truth also is that instead, what we need to do is we need to turn towards the owie. We have to turn towards the ouch and give that scared or fear, or sad part of us some comfort and some support. And so I'm going to just give me 1 second. I want to see if there have been any comments. Oh, Lucretia, thank you. I have an extra screen up. If you're listening and you have any comments, you're welcome to pop it in because I'll probably see them. So if you want a deeper dive, then you can check out Energize on my website because I still have really reduced prices for COVID and all of that, but it takes you through the mastery of awareness, as well as the mastery of transformation and the mastery of intent. And those are the Toltec's first 3 masteries, as well as tons of tools to support you and all of that. So I will put the website up in the chat. And like I said, this will be a short, half hour or so tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, if you're catching this later and you have any questions at all, pop them in the comments because we'll be checking on them, and I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has. Some people don't think that energy or understanding energy is important, but the truth is we are using it every single day of our lives. And sometimes it's messing up our lives. It's not working. Our lack of understanding, our lack of awareness, and often our lack of tools and how to deal with it. So remember, if you want one of the best tools in the world is also shielding. So go back and look, I think it was May 12th. The video is pinned to the top of the featured items up in Artists of the Spirit on our Facebook page. And check that out because it will help you, I promise you. And I just wish us all a blessed rest of our week. So be well. And again, if you have questions, I will answer them for you in the chat. So yeah, put them there. So thank you and be well.